I can click it right now. 3, 2, 1. Give it a few seconds
Yeah.
here.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is the Tesla Owners Club of New York State. Ask Us Anything live webinar. We're here basically as a panel of 4 judges just to answer any questions that you may have regarding EV ownership, TOCNYS membership, anything of that nature. So we're going to get started with a brief introduction from all 4 of us, and we'll get into all of your questions. My name is Caden Tennant. I'm the regional organizer for the Adirondack region. And next we have Carson Gallo.
Yes. Hey guys, I'm Carson. John or Kim, I think one of you guys has the speaker still on, so that's why we're getting an echo. But I am the regional organizer for New York City. I've been a part of the Tesla Club for a few years now. I'm famous for doing Tesla van life in my Tesla for over 5 years, and I like to say you have to find things you love in this world, and I found the car.
Hey, welcome everyone. I'm John Weister here on the Niagara Frontier. I'm the regional organizer here in the Buffalo Niagara area. A couple of friends are already signed up here, and also vice president statewide. And I'm happy to introduce our president, Kim Mannett.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kim Mannett. As John has said, I am the president of TOCNYS.org, and I'm on Long Island. John is in Niagara, Hayden's up in the Adirondacks, and Carson's in New York City. I want to welcome everybody, and we've seen a lot of questions come across over in chat. So we will start answering those questions.
I'd like to take one from Steven, who asks, are there any good financing incentives for EVs in New York State? So depending on what year, make, model, and trim you get, you may qualify for the New York State rebate, which may get you up to $500 to $2,000 off, I believe. And if you are a TOCNYS member, as part of one of our club sponsors, Tenant EV Finance, full disclosure, I work for them, by the way, you'll get $100 off your first monthly payment with Tenant EV Finance if you decide to finance with them.
Awesome, nice job.
By the way, it's not a rebate, it's an instant right off the top retail credit. So you don't have to worry about it being sent to you.
They changed it?
State.
Back in 2018, it was a rebate.
New York State has always been off the top. The tax from the federal tax credit.
No. It was a rebate. I didn't get mine until 6 months after I purchased my car.
In 2018, mine came right off the top of the price, right from the delivery center. So your mileage may vary. Check with your Tesla sales rep.
As for the federal EV tax credit, right now that is up to $7,500, and that is a rebate. But starting January 1st, that will be a instant credit upon point of sale.
Correct.
And a cool advantage of financing with Tenant EV Finance is that you can defer up to either 20% of the value of the vehicle or the loan amount. A lot of people like to defer the actual incentives that they're getting. So it's as if they're actually getting it at the point of purchase, and it lowers their monthly payment by doing so.
Yep. Awesome. Next, we'll go as best we can from top to bottom. So get your questions in as early as you can, essentially. So we have one from Caroline. Does my SAE J1772 charging adapter work in most/all public charging facilities, and what public charging places do you recommend? Yes, that adapter should work in, John has that right there. That should work in most stations that are level 2. Anything beyond level 2, you have like the supercharger port or the CCS port, and then you have CHAdeMO, but that's not super high speed. That's like 50 kilowatts max.
Yep.
Except that is the adapter that is in most public stations. ChargePoint is the main company that you'll see have a lot of those. They're slower charging. They're anywhere from like 6 to 7 kilowatts usually. And there's a couple of other questions too, or a couple of other stations. I'm trying to think, not ChargePoint.
EV Connect, Electrify America.
Yep.
Well,
there's quite a few out there. If you get the PlugShare app, you can see all of those. And then you can sort by port. So, yes, that public charging adapter will work just fine.
PlugShare
No,
is the
the
best.
CCS adapter will work at the larger DC ones, like the Electrify America and EVco.
And if you
Just-
notice, the female end of the port of the CCS and the J1772 are very similar. It's just that the CCS has the bottom two ends of its port added onto it, whereas the
Yeah, that's for the- that's the
J1772 is
DC.
basically the top portion.
Exactly. That's the DC fast charging side of it. Keep in mind, if you do buy that adapter, you need to make sure that your car is compatible with the retrofit, or if it already has the CCS adapter support. You can check that by going into your car's quick controls, the software tab, and then click additional information. And under CCS adapter, it'll say compatibility yes, no, or not supported. But the not supported is only if you have like a 2012 to 2014 vehicle.
Or if you don't even want to buy it, remind me which tiers qualify for it, Kim. But as a TOCNYS member, you can actually borrow hours for free.
That's the CCS adapter.
Yes, and the Chadmo. Which membership tiers is that available for?
It's usually for Ludicrous and Plaid.
Gotcha.
And so I wanted to use this opportunity. I know Carolyn asked a question about charging her Tesla Model Y, but this is a new kind of adapter that's becoming popular for people who have a non-Tesla, maybe a guest or a spouse or a kid will have a non-Tesla, and this allows you to plug that vehicle into your Tesla wall connector or your Tesla mobile connector. So these are commonly available on Amazon for under $100, and that would allow just about anybody, as long as it's compatible, to plug into your home charging when they're visiting. So that's another option to be friendly to your guests.
Graphic looks great, by the way, Caden.
Awesome, thank you. Next question we have from Scott. We have quite a few from Scott, so we'll start with your first one. If ordered today, how long is delivery approximately? So that depends on which model. I guess specifically, Model 3, you know what? I'll pull up this information right now, and does someone want to take the next question, and then we'll get back to that?
I actually have a good answer for that. Well, it depends on whether you're going to be ordering the vehicle customized or you're going to be ordering a vehicle in inventory. And because it's the end of the quarter right now, Tesla is going to can probably rush you and get you a delivery within 72 hours at the latest, because they want to try and get as many people into Teslas as they can before the end of September 30th.
On almost any model, it looks like right now, I mean, it depends on your location too, but most of New York, you should be able to get any of the models next month in October, tentatively, but I'd say that should be a pretty accurate estimate so far.
Yeah, if you order one new, but inventory,
Yeah, if you order
should
it
be
new. Yep, and most of the time they have inventory that is exactly what you're looking for, because they have so few options. It's just mostly paint color and interior color and
Wheel
performance
size.
or not. Yeah. Has anyone here bought a demo car experience? I have not. Have any of you guys?
Well, it wasn't a demo car per se. It was a used Tesla from Tesla that I bought it from. So I bought my 2015 in 2017. It comes with the 50,000 miles bumper to bumper warranty, and it will carry over whatever's left on the car's battery warranty. So I think the current, you can check this, you can check your warranty, but I think the current warranty is 120,000 miles in 8 years. When I purchased my car, it was actually unlimited miles in 8 years. So on the battery. But anything that happens up into that 50,000 mile range, pretty much everything will be covered except for wear and tear.
In the Model 3 rear-wheel drive models, the warranty for the battery and drivetrain is 100,000 compared to 120.
Okay.
It's just a little bit lower when you have one motor. And yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I love my car, and I drive it cross country, and I only get a 220 mile range, and I will never get rid of my car.
I've gotten mine straight from the used inventory. It wasn't a demo car, but it was from their used certified pre-owned essentially.
Great. Okay. Which question would you like to take next?
The next question right after that we have is the 2024 tax break known or expected? We technically, I believe we'll know more information about which models qualify for the next year closer to December and closer to January 1st, except we do know that on the vehicles that will qualify, it'll be an up to $7,500 tax credit on the point of sale. So rather than waiting to pay on your taxes, and if say you don't owe that much, you can't take advantage of it fully, you will be able to take advantage of that as long as you fall within the new income brackets.
Yep.
So it'll be point of sale, not a rebate. That's the main piece of information we know now.
Tesla is advertising on their website right now that some of their models may be affected. So they're telling people to order before January 1st.
Next one we have from Scott is, can the hitch be added later if that is the only thing missing from an inventory car? Scott, I'm not sure which car you're talking in specific. I know the Model Y and the Model X, you can get a retrofit for the tow hook. The Model 3 and the Model S, unfortunately, in the US market, they don't allow towing retrofits. It's only in the EU and other places.
Not officially.
Yeah,
not
it's
official because they do come out with third-party ones. Just like I have the third-party auto front opener, I can also get a third-party hitch for my car, but those are unofficial. And if your car's under warranty, it may void your warranty.
Yeah.
Right, but what's funny is the rear valance panel on the newer Model 3s provided like a little cutout area for that receiver to fit,
Yep.
whereas the original vintage Model 3s never had that.
Unfortunately, actually, there's no official frunk opener for Tesla.
Yeah, it's
Unfortunately.
only third party, unfortunately.
Yeah.
However, if you have a Model 3 and you don't have an automatic trunk, meaning if you have like a 2017 to 2020, you can pay $800 to have that added back.
Yep.
And I would advise going with the real thing because some of the third-party trunk openers have cracked the glass.
Yes, and I've
so
seen
you
a
might wanna be
front
very
opener bend the entire hood. Somebody's malfunctioned and it bent their hood in real time, but in within like
Yeah.
5 seconds. It was pretty bad. So just be careful with those as well. They are cool, but you'll want to get a reputable brand. The next one, opinion on 5 versus 7 seat on the Model Y. Carson, do you want to answer this one since you have an SUV, you have the Model X?
Yes, I have the Model X 5-seater. And while I did consider the 7-seater, I much prefer my 5-seater because I can actually fit a month's worth of clothes and a spare tire inside the area where those 2 additional seats would have taken up. Definitely don't recommend the 6-seater on the Model X because the second row will not fall flat. I know you're talking about the Model Y. But, it depends on whether, how many people you're going to be transporting. The third row of the Model Y, I've sat in it before. Definitely do not recommend it for long distance if you are 5'10" or taller. For 30 minutes or longer, it is unbearable if you're going to be sitting in that third row. In which case, you just have those people sit in the second row, children in the third row, 5'10" or smaller, they'll be just fine.
And the next question, John, could I pass this one off to you since you're right in close to that area, the Rochester area?
Sure. Scott's asking about a delivery point for folks who are predominantly upstate. Up until recently, you had to commute all the way to Westchester County or New York City or Long Island to get your Tesla picked up if you didn't opt for the $700 delivery charge to your home. So that said, I don't know if you knew, but back over the summer, TOCNYS was invited to the press conference along with the Oneida Nation of Indians that we announced basically that Tesla is now delivering cars through Turning Stone Casino. So they do have that capability in Verona, New York. And they will also be building a giant service and charging center, sales center on native territory. So that bypasses all of the New York State restrictions that limit us to 5 retail locations across the state. And those retail locations right now, as I mentioned, are all pretty much downstate. However, there could be some shuffling of that. I would not, hold out too much hope at this point, but the plan long term is to have Tesla across the entire state. So for now, the closest delivery spot will be in Central New York at the Oneida Nation Turning Stone Casino in Verona.
Awesome. Nice job there. Next one is
So-
from Nancy. She's an owner for 2 years. Are there any better tires than the ones Tesla offers? I guess
Absolutely.
that also. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Kim.
I personally use Bridgestones. I use the Quiet Tracks for my all seasons, and then I use their BlizzTax for my winters. I use them because they have an 80,000 mile warranty on their tires, and I actually do get the 80,000 miles on those tires. I have 173K on my car right now. So I'm on my second set of the Quiet Tracks. The Continentals that came with my car were crap. I did the Pirelli winter tires once. They lasted me 13,000 miles, and that was it. So, and they cost a lot of money. So I'm very happy with the Quiet Tracks. I know a lot of the guys are using the Michelin Privacy 4s. But yes, there are definitely better tires out there than the ones that Tesla is selling you.
Yokohama's for me. I just went through my longest set of tires ever, and I just had the Yokohama's for 15 months on my Model X. Lasted me about 50,000 miles, which was within the tread warranty. And
The one important thing, I just wanted to add to what Carson said. If you do go with a different brand that is not OEM from Tesla, the most important thing is the load rating. Tesla has, a heavier car, and so you want to make sure that the sidewall of your tire can support that. Otherwise, it could be a safety issue. So just make sure that you spec out that the load rating is equivalent or better than the original tire.
And inside the door frame of the driver's door, you will see where it will actually tell you what your tire size is and what the load limit is for that tire.
And also, another side note on all of that, if you have a Model 3 or Y or a refresh Model S and X with the horizontal screen, in service mode you'll want to change your tires when you'll want to change your tire profile when you change your tires, because the car relearns that and helps estimate your range, and also basically recalibrates the system so it can better let you know if one of your tires is has like a tread depth difference between the left and the right side, and in the software update lately they've been doing that. So just make sure you change your tire profile whenever you could get that done. Let's see. Next question we've already answered, Stevens. We have one from Glaze. Is it safe to wash your Tesla undercarriage when you do your car wash, especially in the winter? Yes. It is completely okay to do that. In fact, we actually encourage you to do it at least at the minimum once in the winter after the winter season, to ensure you get all of the salt off from the undercarriage going into like the spring months when we don't have salt anymore, because it, first of all, when it washes away everything underneath there and it won't do any damage to your car. I do the same exact thing, and yeah, go ahead, John.
Yeah, well, here's the caveat. Your owner's manual has a section on washing, and it does say if you use a pressure washer, it should not be close to the car. I think it's a 1 foot distance. So you don't want to use a high intensity pressure when you're doing the cleaning, because that could affect it. But Caden's right. Definitely don't worry about the car. Everything is sealed. However, there is one thing. If you are in a salty winter climate where they use, salt or grit on the roads, Tesla does do a brake inspection. And what that means is they will use their official technicians, whether it's mobile or at the service center to make sure that your brakes have not corroded, and they will inspect them and check for any inconsistencies because the road salt does tend to attack them. I get that done about every year and a half as it averages out, and it's not too expensive. One time it was under 100, one time it was just over, but it's a lot cheaper than getting an entire brake job. One time in Toronto years back, a Model S owner used regen so much in their driving and had so much road salt that he needed an entire brake job, and it was $7,000 for the Model S. So you might want to make sure you get brake service on a pretty regular basis. It's a cheap investment.
Yep. If you live in anywhere, in New York State, when we have like pretty severe winter weather, Tesla recommends every 12 months or 12,000 miles, whichever comes first, you should have that performed. That's right in the manual for all their cars as well. And to respond to an earlier post to Caroline, I'm going to send you the link right now in the chat. This is where you can purchase the CCS adapter straight from Tesla.
Oh, I thought she meant the larger adapter as in for the guests. So I put that in too.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool.
But the CCS adapter, you can definitely put that link in.
And
Yeah,
just to finish off with the undercarriage question, if you're going to an automatic car wash like Hoffman's, I know we have a lot of those around here, or something similar, that should be okay for your car, because when you do the touchless wash, it doesn't spray that high pressure. I've done it with my car for 3 years now, and I haven't had an issue. Next question from Steven. Any idea why Long Island does not have any used vehicles available? Long Island especially, since people can't buy out the lease. Kim, I'm not sure if you want to go for this one.
Yeah, so Long Island in Smithtown is the one you're actually talking about. Smithtown is right now does not have a sales license. They only are a delivery center at this moment. So this is why you cannot get the used car inventory at Smithtown. Things will be changing very shortly. There will be a new service center opening up that will have the sales license at it, and it will be a delivery center and a sales center as well. But it has not been released as the grand opening date yet, so I cannot tell you when, but I know it's in the very near future.
Kim, I'm not sure if they were asking. I'm not sure if they were asking why doesn't Tesla have any of their used inventory. I know that they cycle through it very fast, and at times if you check at night on, so let's say, the end of the week, you may not find any used inventory around, and then if you check the next morning, you could see, you reload that same page and you could see many different cars. That's happened to me multiple times on occasion when I've looked. Just make sure you put in your zip code, or you can even try ones that are a little bit further away, because they'll only show you nearby results. In the meantime, there is a website that I'm aware of that will show you all of their inventory across the whole country, because they limit you to within a certain radius of your zip code. So you can go to this website and search their entire inventory and pay a delivery fee if you want as well. I'll find that, and at some point through the webinar, I'll post that link for you in the chat.
Oh, I also wanted to add, because he had added about the lease, not being able to buy out the lease. It's very important. I actually saw a post this morning that somebody was yelling on one of the forums because they couldn't buy out their lease, and they made this mistake of only choosing the 12,000 mile option, and they had already hit 15,000 and they'd only had the car for 6 months. So you have to kind of really look at what your mileage has been and actually add to that. So, because there's an option to add the extra mileage to your lease versus having to pay that big chunk of change at the end because you've gone way over.
Fortunately, I was grandfathered into being able to do a lease buyout, but the only reason why I did a lease is because I had little to no credit history at the time. So highly recommend, if you can finance at the time, go ahead and finance.
And I just found the link to that website as well. This website is actually the reason why I was able to find my car. It's waitingfortesla.com. from James Cooper, who would you recommend for auto insurance in the state of New York? That question, I
Oh, that's
guess,
a loaded question.
that is a loaded question because there are so many different auto insurers, and then there are so many different rates depending on your driving history. Some will offer better rates at times. It's always the game.
Also, your age.
Your age,
There's a lot of factors.
there's a lot of factors.
Yeah,
Fortunately,
From
Tesla
personal
insurance
experience-
is not available yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Carson just said that Tesla insurance is not yet in New York State, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Right. That would be the best option. Hopefully, our policymakers will allow that to happen. Write in if you'd like to demand that, because it's obviously the best. The car knows exactly how you drive, and if you're responsible, you pay lower rates. Here's my
You really
concern.
could get
When
quite a
you
bit lower.
get an auto insurance policy in New York State, sometimes the insurance company, the carrier, will have a direct repair shop relationship with the collision shop that's Tesla authorized. So if you go to a Tesla authorized collision center, what you really want to make sure is that you do get an insurance estimator instead of letting the shop do it. In other words, when they have a direct repair relationship between the insurance company and the shop, there's less accountability, which means you would really behoove yourself to get an independent insurance adjuster to look at the damage and then also inspect the car after it's been repaired. Otherwise, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what kind of quality you might be getting, even with a Tesla authorized collision center. So I hope that makes sense. If you have any further questions, drop us a line. But my advice would be to make sure that you get an on-premises inspection rather than let the collision center do all of the estimate.
Next question from Caroline is, I like the 5-seat on... Oh, not a question, but I'm glad you like the 5-seat on the Y. Yeah. Yeah, the 7-seat, really, the only time to get that is if you know for certain you have that many people in your family or you need that extra amount of seats. Otherwise, you get far more room with, the 5-seat configuration. Another question from Steven. Is anyone concerned that the incentives network can't handle all the cars that need service? And then we have a part 2. Tesla controls all the repair pricing. They have a monopoly on which is concerning. We'll answer that first question. Part 1. In terms of the service network, as a company, they're building out new locations, expanding really as fast as they can. So I don't see that as much as being an issue because they won't be taking in other EVs as similar to the EV charging network, how that's becoming open to everything. So in terms of service, I expect that to grow, proportionately with the amount of owners that are out there. I personally haven't had an issue with scheduling service. I know sometimes it can take a few weeks depending on your location to get a date. But they're going to make that as best as possible and try to get you in as soon as they can.
And don't forget about Tesla mobile service, where Tesla will come to you at your home or at work.
That's true. Tesla
How do you
Latham
do
did
that,
just get
Carson?
mobile
How do you
service.
reserve that?
So if you schedule a service appointment, and if that service that you need is available for mobile service, when you're selecting your location and you put in your address, if you're within the range of mobile service rangers, as they're called, it will give you the option to have a ranger come specifically to your home or work address, and you could choose the time window. And you don't even have to be there when they're doing it. They can remotely unlock the car, or you can remotely unlock the car through the Tesla app, and they can do everything for you while you're in home, resting up, or you're at work, busy in the office.
Is it okay if I share my best retail experience ever of any company? Real quick. A few years ago, I got a text from the mobile service technician, and he said, "John, I'm in your neighborhood. I want to perform 2 free upgrades to your car, a new hood latch and a new door pin." And I said, "Oh, I'm going to the university for a meeting right now." And he said, "That's okay. I'll find you." So 45 minutes into my meeting, I get a text with a thumbs up, all done, and yeah, I couldn't have asked for a better customer experience. Just, it's a game changer the way that Tesla operates. So please, measure what you hear from, the media or hearsay, because there are probably more positive experiences that just don't get communicated. And they're also not really marking up a lot of the prices on repair parts. Tesla, like for instance, if you just need a wheel, like what is it called, a fender type thing, not the whole fender, but the little wheel arch. I think those are pretty cheap, and
Oh, the
the
Aero Wheel
hubcaps.
kit cover, yeah, they're like $40 each.
Yeah, right. And hubcaps are still what, 25 a piece, and I think the little cards to gain access to the car
Yep.
are under 40, compared to a remote fob on a regular car that would be, up to 700 or $1,000. So it all balances out, folks. I hope that you keep an open mind and keep talking to members who have the real experience.
And I know I skipped a little bit, but I just answered Tesla Lou's questions about wiper blade recommendations. I wrote up a brief explanation while John was answering that other question, and also provided a link to all of the OEM wiper blades. You can click that, and it should show you every single one for each model and year. And their pricing, like John said, they really don't mark up the prices for the individual parts, if that much at all. It's very reasonable, and the wiper blades are no different.
Where are we?
I'm trying to find that as well.
Is it Scott again?
Oh,
I've
we
only had
have-
one test drive.
We have the part 2 question. Tesla controls all the repair
Oh.
pricing. They have a monopoly, which is concerning. The good part is we kind of answered that with their parts. They really don't mark up that much for the individual parts itself. And yeah, I mean, technically all of the service manuals, they did just make those all free to all consumers. Even yourself, you can go actually find all of their service manuals for any part or replacing or repair of your car for free, just with your Tesla account. So in that sense, they've opened up more so, and I think as you see more EVs being manufactured by other companies, you're going to see more repair shops that are willing to do certain types of repairs that nobody would before. We still recommend, though, you go to the service centers, because they'll do a good job, and they'll back anything that they do. If they do something that does lead to an issue down the road, they'll do the right thing.
Can I just add something really quick, Carson, and Caden, that there is a company that is very friendly with TOCNYS and has sponsored us in the past, called EV Parts Guy, outside of Rochester. And so if you do need an aftermarket part for some reason, something common, he's a reputable chap from New Zealand, and I'd be happy to put the web link up there for you. Let me find it.
In the meantime, while John's looking up that, let's go down to Scott. I've only had one test drive Model Y and was surprised that the entire roof was a glass window. Do you bake in the summer? So, technically, compared to like a normal car's roof, that's just paint, you do get a little bit of heat going through, except the tinting and the coatings on top are so strong that it's very, very minimal. And I've found that in the winter months here, it actually is more of an upside than a downside, because it heats the car when it's sunny outside and cold temperatures for free. You're not using the heat energy from the car, so that's nice. And even I have a black on black car, so black paint, black seats, and the sun coming through has not really been that much of a concern with being all glass. And if you want, you can get a shade for that. There are third-party companies that sell full shades to minimize the heat coming in, but I prefer having the cool ability to look up and let more light into the cabin. So another one from Nancy: are there any particular service centers that a Tesla owner can get a New York State inspection? I mean, you can get an inspection from. It doesn't have to be a service center. You can go to your local shop that lives near you, or
Can I just answer that too?
Yeah.
yeah,
Service centers do not perform inspections. The reason why is because anyone doing New York State inspections has to inspect all brands. So if you go to your local mechanic, they can do it. But here's the filter question. When you go there, ask them how much they charge to inspect a Tesla. If it's more than $10, go to somebody else, because that's how much, I think that's the current fee. It's half.
Yeah.
It's
I
normally
think you're right.
20,
Yeah.
but you don't pay for the emissions test, which is half of the fee. So if they're charging you the full 20, which includes the emissions test, find somebody else, because either they're, taking advantage of you or they're just incompetent. So they should know that a Tesla inspection is half price.
The other thing
Yeah,
is too, no matter what shop you choose, you want to make sure you have those pucks to put underneath the car, because when they lift it up, you don't want them to damage your battery. So either A, go to a shop that you know is reputable and has done many EVs in the past, or if you have like a local shop that you know very well in your city or town, just go ahead and buy the pucks on Amazon or EvenX, or there's lots of companies. They're little circular round, like 2-inch tall battery pucks, and there are slots right in your car, and you can bring those yourself, or hope that they have them, but I would always bring them yourself. Better be safe than sorry.
Yeah, it's a $20 investment, and you just carry them in your car. I'll put the answer link right here. Just you can get any brand you want.
Yep.
They're all the same.
Next question we have from Frank. My husband passed away, and I know very little about his Tesla. I'm so sorry, man. I don't drive it often because the seat is bad for my back. Should I leave it plugged in all the time? Yes. It actually, so the easy answer to that is ABC, always be charging. So what we recommend is to set your charge limit. If you're not going to be driving it that often, realistically, you could set it as low as 50% if you wanted. You just want to make sure you set that charge limit to whatever you would use on the daily. So if you're not driving it that often, like I said, 50% probably would be the way to go. But if you would rather have it higher in case you need to drive X amount of distance, you want to just have that safety range, you could bump it up to 80. It's just that 90% to 100% range you want to reserve for road trips. But yes.
And the reason why is because above 90%, the regenerative braking stops working. In other words, when you let your foot off the accelerator, the car will not automatically slow down as it would below 90% state of charge. The reason why is because it recharges the battery, and if it's over 90%, there's no room for that juice to go in. So Caden is absolutely right. You can set it to a lower limit. Tesla is now recommending 80%. They had said 90% in the past, but that's usually for the conventional type of Tesla. So if you get a standard range battery on the low-end model Teslas, those can go to 100%. They prefer to be at 100%. And the information is, again, in the specifications part of the menu. So, Caden, how do you do that again? You hit the car, and then you
the
say...
quick controls, charging, and then there'll be a little message underneath your car's battery. So if you have, what that battery that John's talking about is called is LFP, the chemistry, lithium iron phosphate. And if you do have that battery, like he said, you want to keep it at 100%. You actually want to charge it to 100% at least once a week, because it recalibrates the battery. But keep in mind, that's only for if you have a standard range Model 3 manufactured after 2021 and beyond. And again, it's Tesla changes that so much in terms of their vehicles. You'll just want to be sure and check your app or your car. If your car does not have a trip menu, so when you slide your battery limit, if it does not have a trip menu at all, you can charge it to 100% safely, because every car that has an LFP battery doesn't have that.
I wanted to just touch on the fact that he has a bad back. I actually have a bad back, and I find the car is actually very good for my back. Have you tried adjusting the lumbar on the seat, and have you also tried putting on the heat? I find that the heat relaxes the muscles in my back, and it makes it much more pleasant to drive my car. So you might want to check those two things out.
Yeah, the
Good
lumbar's
stuff.
a good one.
And we're happy to have further discussions on the website, in the forums, or through any of the social media. So if this doesn't answer all your concerns, we're happy to go into more detail.
And just to finish off that question too, the reason why you do want to leave it plugged in, because say you have enough battery already, you want to leave it plugged in because rather than the car, when it's running its MCU or any other computer system, or say when you connect to the car via your app, rather than the car using the battery to do that, it's pulling it from the grid every time. So your battery essentially won't be charged. It'll just rely on the grid for, and also that applies to if your car is parked outside in the winter without a garage, you want to always leave that plugged in because it'll keep the battery warm. Say it's 30 degrees outside, it'll actually always be checking the temperature of that and controlling that. So next question we have here, extended warranties. Carson and John, didn't you guys cover that earlier?
That's Carson.
No,
No,
we
no.
cover financing, but not XCare.
Okay,
Yeah,
next year,
Xcare is actually who we recommend for the. They're also a club sponsor, but they actually do very well on the Tesla warranties. I have had everybody that has had anything to do that. All they do is have to pay their deductible, and Xcare takes care of the rest of the bill. So you don't have to sit there and get it pay it all out and then get a check back later. So Xcare tends to take very good care of you, and we do recommend them as well because they are a sponsor, but just because they are really good customer service.
And as a club
Can we put a
sponsor,
link in
you
there?
get a discount on the actual purchase of the warranty. And they are also a partner of my company, Tenant EV Finance, where normally you would have to buy it outright. But with Tenant, you can actually add that onto your loan as part of your monthly.
It's also
Great.
good
Do we
to
have a
note-
specific link to put on there for the folks?
I got it.
Got it,
It's
Carson?
also it's good to note too. This won't apply to many of you, but for the Model 3 and the Model Y, I think it's just the 3 and the Y. Tesla offered actually for a limited time, where you can buy an extended warranty through them, and you can actually check that in your app. If you go to, I believe the upgrade section, you can click on extended service agreement, and if your car qualifies, you can, purchase that. But if it doesn't, then it'll just say you don't qualify. If you bought any of their used vehicles through their used program, they do not qualify. You have to have bought a new vehicle from a certain range in time. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure on that, but you can go ahead and just check for yourself right through the app. It takes just a few seconds.
Back in 2017, I could do it on a used vehicle,
Yep,
and
yeah,
it was
they changed
available
it.
on the Model S and X as well. It's just the pricing is a little bit higher than it is for Xcare, and you have to read the small print and find out what Tesla covers and what Xcare covers.
Yep.
There are other companies that actually do. Now, Xcare started it, but another company called 057 Technologies out of North Carolina, they both offer battery warranties for people who are out of their Tesla warranty on their batteries. So you can check those two out too.
So the next question from Chrissy: what type of windshield wiper fluid should we use? Honestly,
The blue kind.
The blue kind. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can use almost any windshield wiper fluid. Just in the winter, you'll want to make sure you have the one that doesn't freeze.
Well, I would make sure not to use the Rain-X. That tends to have a little bit too many additives in it. If you have the winter package on your car, you can just use the plain old blue, even in the wintertime, because it will. If you have the winter package, it actually heats your wiper blades.
Huh.
Right, and the new Model 3 that's coming out will have a heated windshield as well. But did we? I'm trying to remember if we answered Tesla Lou about which type of wipers themselves, which blades.
I sent the link to him.
Oh, you did? Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, I sent the link to all the OEM ones because I wasn't sure what model he had.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry, I didn't scroll down. Okay.
Oh yeah, so if you click that link, you can find that right there. I think it's $25 per blade. So that's right in line with aftermarket as well.
Okay.
Just remember, you do need to buy 2 of them. It only includes 1, so $50 total.
Oh,
Um,
so Pam Grossman. Okay, that makes sense.
Sorry for your loss,
oh, I
Pam.
see that. Chrissy has another one. I just had my front drive unit replaced. 10,000 miles on your Model Y long range. Is that normal? That is definitely that is uncommon for sure. That should not happen that young in the car's life. I mean, since you're under warranty, I'm sure it was covered fully. Except no, that's not a normal thing to have. However, like if you think about how many cars they produce, per year, it's bound to have an issue with at least some of them or a few of them. And it's good that it happened early on in its life, so that the chance of you having that happen again is extremely low. I do not know of anyone, at least in the club or club leadership, that has had that issue before. We have Sashish007. I recollect the batteries on the Tesla are NMC, NCA, and not LFP. So that we kind of covered that earlier, but that just depends on the model that you have. If you have a Model 3 rear-wheel drive, that the standard range model that was produced sometime in 2021 when they switched over to LFP, you do have LFP at that point, and you can check in your car or your phone by sliding your battery limit, and if it doesn't say trip at all, you don't have an LFP battery. If you have a long range or performance, you shouldn't have LFP, except I could be wrong, but don't the new Model 3 long ranges in America have LFP cells? Do any of you guys
Depending
know
on what
that?
trim. The standard range trims have LFP. The long range and
doesn't, though?
performance do not.
Okay. I thought I heard talk
But do the
about
ones
that,
in
but
Canada have them? The Canadian Model 3s are coming in from China.
that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
It might still depend
I'm
on
using
the
a
trim.
standard range Hertz right now, Model 3 standard range, and the LFP gets 266 miles at 100%.
Okay.
Caden, go back to my name on the thing. It was a question from Sheila. She ended up
Yes.
emailing it to me.
Oh, yes. Yes, so...
So
is
it's
that the
actually
one about
all 3 of mine is the same question. It's just I was limited on characters.
Okay. It says in the tips for Model 3. Yeah, so with some of the recent car software updates and the app updates, I've seen so many reports from different users with different limits. Even with people that have the same battery chemistry, if you have a different year car, sometimes they'll recommend 90% for daily, sometimes 80%, and that's for people that don't have the LFP battery, so the majority of customers. So I mean, technically, I don't really know why they're giving that range from 80 to 90. The general rule is 20 to 80% if you can, for optimal longevity of the car. And if you need to go outside of those ranges, by all means do it. Except for your daily use, if you can keep it within that range, you're at that point babying the battery, and it should last for quite a long time. So I still would recommend the 20-80 rule if you don't have an LFP car, and then the above 80 and beyond for road trips. If you need 90% on a daily, that's totally okay too. The nice part about going a little bit higher is you get more performance out of the car. So if you're going to a track event or something similar, you do want that battery to be as high as possible. I did that just recently, and I tried to keep it as high as I could. So.
Also, if it goes below 20%, you lose certain functions like overheat mode on the cabin overheat protection. So that won't work when the battery is 20% or less.
Sentry mode, camp mode, and dog mode as well.
Right. So don't join the 0 mile club, please. That's the
please
technical
don't.
term for chancing it.
That would be me.
Hey,
The lowest I've gone is 12 miles.
what? I think I've gone down to 200.
But it was
Hey,
calculated. It was a calculated.
I've ran out 150 feet from the charger.
Next question from Chrissy. I'm trying to see how much range I get after fill up 85 to 90%. On the Energy app, do I use the instant, 30, or 5 miles, or the average? So for that, if you have a Model 3, a Y, or a brand new SRX, the Energy app has a new page that shows you very detailed stats based off of your past drive. And it gives you recommendations and tips as well. So I recommend using that screen. It's actually the first one on the far left in the Energy app. Yeah, to see how much range you get. Also, what you could do is you could set on your trip meter, you could reset trip A. So as soon as you finish charging, at 90%, reset that so it says 0 miles, drive to whatever percentage you want, and then you could see the physical distance you drove and then compare that to the battery distance. And just do like a simple subtraction to see how far off your battery estimate was.
Another way to get some of that mileage back is to either, if you're using the mobile charger, is to trickle charge. So every once in a while, just trickle charge your car. And the reason being is because when you're fast charging, the energy is coming into the battery so fast, and it's trying to find those places to put it in there. If you do a trickle charge, then it has time to look for that place and put it in the correct place. If you don't have a mobile charger at home and you have a Tesla wall charger, then what you can do is just dial down your amps. So instead of it letting it do the 48 or whatever you got it set for, set it down to like 10 amps or 8 amps, right around there. And that's a trickle charge. And that way you'll start seeing your mileage come back. So say at 80% you were only getting 240, and then you'll start seeing 245. So you're getting that extra mileage back.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Kim makes like an excellent point. John, if you remember a few days ago, I talked about exactly that and how over a year of owning my car, I got 10 to 15. I think I got close to 15 miles back over 1 year, just from trickle charging on most weekends and wherever I could. And that will vary depending on your car and the age it is and the charge life of it. But I had a standard range 3 back at that time, and I got roughly 10 to 15 miles back, so that was a nice plus just from charging slowly. The BMS also recalibrates, and trickle charging helps with that. So
Battery management system. But one other point of view on this would be don't overthink it. Unless you're really critically in a position where you need to go a certain distance and you're really close to that limit, just enjoy the car. It's going to perform fine for you under ordinary conditions. But you have that option. You have the option of going into the nitty gritty and looking at all the different factors and doing that. But if you don't feel like it, it's totally optional.
Like John said, you really only need to do that if you've had your car for a short amount of time or you bought a used one and you notice that the degradation is like extremely bad, beyond average. That can help recoup a little bit of it. Other than that, just drive the car, normally. Where are we, guys?
Nancy.
Oh, I see.
Windshield.
Has anyone had a significant amount of windshield damage? I've had 3 replacements in the last 2 years.
I've had 3 replacements in the last 6 years. Mostly from rock chips, rocks hitting my windshield when I'm driving long distance. Nothing more than I would have gotten in my regular minivan. It just depends on,
Yeah.
how fast you're driving, how close you're driving behind somebody.
I don't have a
I've
good
got
answer for
the
this one.
biggest windshield of all of you guys with the Model X, but I've had 0 replacement windshield replacements in 6 years of ownership. Still on the original windshield.
I'm in the same boat. I've had 0 replacements. I had an old Model S, one of the first ones, a few years ago, and I've had a Model 3 ever since, and I've not had any problems with that. The best thing I can recommend is, I guess, set your follow distance if you use autopilot on the highway to the furthest setting back.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I have heard, I mean, this is more of like a skeptical-ish sort of not conspiracy theory, but not the best response, except I've heard from people that because of the angle of the windshield on Tesla's vehicles and how aerodynamic they are, that they're more susceptible to rock chips, just a little bit more than other cars. I don't know how true this is, but I wanted to throw that out there.
And to amplify on all of that, if you do get a replacement, please opt for a Tesla service center, because they will give you genuine Tesla glass. Someone like a SafeLight will give you a knockoff, non-OEM part. And ask me how I know.
Well,
So-
I also the hit on that. Also, my local Tesla authorized body shop has done my replacements too as well, because they have to calibrate my camera on my car because I can't physically do it myself. But they do OEM glass.
Correct, yes, but not all authorized collision centers will do that. Sometimes they farm it out to SafeLight or something like that. So please make sure that you check with your insurance and get the real part.
All right, next one. Kim?
Sheila.
Yep, from Sheila. My Tesla and home charger outside. Is it dangerous to have the car charging in a big rain or thunderstorm? The chargers themselves, even the mobile connector, is weather resistant. I wouldn't worry so much in big rain. The only thing is, during a thunderstorm, it doesn't hurt to just unplug it just through the duration of the storm. So you don't risk, any large lightning strike. Or do you guys want to chime in on this one?
If her house is hit by lightning, it's going to kill all of her appliances, including her charging capabilities on the charger as well. There's a slight possibility it might affect the car if it's plugged in. It would just depend on whether or not, I don't know, maybe you guys know that maybe Tesla has some kind of like surge protector built into the charging ports, but I'm not sure.
Personally, I'd rather just be safe than sorry. For like an hour or two while there's a storm ongoing, I would just go ahead and unplug it and then plug it back in. But during rain or snow, there's no reason to worry about that at all. It's made for that. Another one from Sheila. Has anyone found that the Tesla windshield wipers do not go fast enough on the highest setting? It's like they're made for desert California, not heavy rains in New York State. If you're talking about the auto setting, they are working on a big update to the auto wipers for auto, except if you're talking about the max speed setting, I don't know what to tell you other than if it's like abnormally slow, you could look up a video online maybe and see how fast level 3 is for them. But if it's abnormally slow, you may want to look into filing like a service request, because there could be something wrong.
You said level 3, and I'm triggered by that because people call them level 3 chargers. They're not. They're DC fast chargers, but you're talking about the level of the
I'm talking about the level 3 wiper speed.
I know. Yeah, I'm paranoid.
I will tell you that the wipers don't work for anybody in any car when it's a downpour. Because I was stuck in a downpour in July on my way to Phoenix. I think I was in Michigan. I don't know. Some state. Idaho, probably. Or Iowa. No. One of the two. But it was coming down so bad that everybody was pulled off to the side of the road and stopped. It was that bad. Yeah. So even with it full blast, it just was not enough to keep up with anything. But nobody's car could anyway.
We'll wait for the Cybertruck because it's got one wiper.
Oh
and we won't tell you how much that's going to cost.
It'll wipe out your checkbook.
Chrissy
Yeah.
asked about if there are any better wipers than the OEM ones. I mean, if you go OEM, you really. Oh, John, you wanna answer this one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're sort of hard to find, but believe it or not, Walmart had them the last time I stocked up. Silicone wiper blades, so they seem to be a little bit longer lasting, and mine have lasted a couple of years instead of months. So that might be something you look into. Anything with a pure silicone blade. I think Michelin had it last time, but honestly, I haven't bought them in so long. I have no idea if they're still there.
And the wiper blades for my 2015 Model S are actually the Bosch Ion blades. So I buy the Bosch ones. I don't buy them necessarily from Tesla.
Okay. Thank you for the miles answer. I'll use the trip method. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, hopefully that works out for you. Drone Late, I see a question on best insurance for Tesla New York State. Suggestions for New York City? So, we answered this one not completely, just because the best insurance really depends on your exact location. I mean, even if you live just in a different zip code than someone else with similar stats, like your age, driving record, you could get completely different rates. So really the best thing is just to shop around. Tesla insurance isn't available in New York State, unfortunately, yet. But John mentioned that earlier, and how once hopefully it does, it'll be based off of your driving history, and if you drive well, you will pay significantly less.
For New York City, I think the best insurance that you can get is to get a P.O. box somewhere else and use that address for your car insurance. The
Not
amount you'll
advised.
be saving on car insurance will probably be a lot more than the cost of the P.O. box. So
That
definitely
is not
consider
endorsed by
that.
TOCNYS.
And let me just reiterate here for Sashish, if you do have a collision, be very wary if there's a thing called direct repair shop status for the insurance carrier and where you're getting it done at a Tesla authorized collision center. The reason why is because you're basically trusting that collision center to do the estimate instead of having an independent adjuster from the insurance company. So be very careful of what your policy says and make sure that you have the the ability to get the insurance company to look at the damage and also the repair. Next.
Yeah, next question we have Chrissy again about the windshield being replaced 2 months ago from someone kicking up a rock. I went to Tesla, $1,500. Insurance gave me a check, but that's a lot of money. So the glass is expensive, but it is big glass and it's very high quality, especially with OEM. You'll only want to go OEM. We just want to reiterate that, so you don't have any issues with autopilot or anything like that. I mean, a lot of other cars, and I know if you only have a Tesla, you don't get to compare them a lot to other cars, but I know a couple of people I know had to have their glass replaced recently, and it was right about $1,000, and they had a Hyundai, and it was a small Hyundai crossover with quite a bit smaller windshield than a Model Y, and it came out to be like not too far off from the Tesla quote. So I mean, it is expensive, but you'll just want to really make sure you can get an auto insurance plan or something that will cover windshield replacements. I think that's the best advice we can give for that one.
I just want to say we're running a little short on time. We're going to try to wrap up within about 10 minutes, but I'll have a little announcement to make too at the end. So why don't we try to wrap up these questions if possible?
Yeah, sure. So Steven rented one just recently and the wipers kept going on randomly. Yeah, that's happened to a lot of people lately. Even when it's wiping in completely sunny conditions, that's happened to me on a very high amount of times. But there is a software update in the works with new neural networks that should completely resolve that issue. And that'll be
I'm sorry, Kate. I hate to keep interrupting here,
It's
but
okay.
yeah, I have a rental. The same thing happened, Stephen, and I just simply cleaned off the camera area on the exterior of the windshield with a microfiber cloth, and it resolved the problem. It was a dirty windshield.
I've had the same issue, but I did clean it off, and it still did it repeatedly, and I've seen quite a
Okay.
few owners say that too. So if that doesn't work for you, definitely try cleaning it first, but just know that they are working on a fix, and Elon has acknowledged it in a tweet, I think 2 or 3 times, saying that they are
Close.
working on it. There's a lot going on with FSD and so yeah. So the next question we have from Nancy. Thank you for the windshield. No problem. Can anyone recommend an interior cleaner?
I use Chemical Guys interior, but I also have Model S and I got leather seats. So my mileage may differ than yours. I do not have the vegan leather seats, but they do have cleaner for that as well. I use it for my dash. I use it for my leather because they also have a leather cleaner, but they also have a multi-purpose cleaner. And what I like about it best is it actually has the new car smell when you use it. So I use Chemical
Nancy,
Guys.
I'm linking the page to Chemical Guys for you right there. They have quite a wide range of products, so you should be able to find one that's good for your interior. And it's also good to note, if you have a Tesla from 2018 or beyond, you have the vegan leather seats, so you do not have real leather. So that's important to note for finding the good supplies.
I also remind you guys, we do have 2 questions that were emailed to us, so don't forget about those.
And then we have one from Scott. Where could I rent a Tesla Y for a week? John,
Jolt.
do you want to go on for this one?
Jolts is one of our sponsors, and they also rent Teslas, and I believe Toro as well.
Do you
And
mind linking
Hertz.
that in there, Kim?
Yeah.
The chat.
I already got a bookmarked right here,
Awesome.
and it's
Oh.
actually pronounced Jules.
Oh. I like the Jolts better. It gives me a jolt.
I like Jules.
Does
It's
Tesla ever do
shiny.
superchargers? We want to get solar for a local library and install 2 EV chargers. Is there an email at Tesla to ask about such things? So, in terms of superchargers, they don't do them that small. The smallest would be 6. What I recommend for that is, it sounds like for a local library, level 2 charging would be perfect. So you could go the destination charger route, and you could get a Tesla destination charger, and you can actually set it up now with the new software, so you can charge customers per kilowatt hour. So you would profit off it. Customers would see it on all of their cars. Every Tesla would show up as your destination charger, and that's the cheaper. You get a nice wall connector from Tesla, and it's cheaper. You could contact ChargePoint to install their chargers, but that will most definitely cost you quite a bit more money. And in the long run, NACS, which is the Tesla port connector, that's what they rebranded it as, that almost every auto manufacturer is switching to that port, so that's the future of charging. So you wouldn't be stuck with an outdated port that no one is using anymore. So to kind of give a recap of that, look into Tesla destination chargers. They should have a good page for that on their website. And last question we have on the chat is from Chrissy. Anything we should do to prepare Teslas for the winter season?
Could I just add to that? We actually have a 2-part Winterizing Your Tesla YouTube on our YouTube channel, so you can look it up on there as well. It gives you some really great information about some products that you should use so that your doors don't get frozen shut. So you might want to look up that 2-part series on our YouTube channel. Otherwise, guys.
Yep, that was. Thank you, Kim. And I do have
And
a link
I posted here about for the winter. There is a product, Chrissy, called Gummifläge. It's from Europe. And what you do is you apply it. It's almost like the old roll-on deodorants or bingo markers or something like that you put around your the glass edges on the rubber seal, so that your windows will not stick in the winter. I do that once a season in the fall, and it's cheap. It's a great product, and it enhances the the hermetic seal around the windows. So prevents it from sticking. Okay. Any last
And
questions?
I just sent the link to Sheila there. They have
Okay.
on their website hosting a wall connector, and it's hosting destination charging. So it would allow you to have chargers at your local library and then also show up on every single car's map so that they know where it is. Chrissy also
Yeah,
asked if we could put it in the chat. Do you guys want to link that as well?
The YouTube
The
for
YouTube one, I don't know what that is.
winter writing.
Oh, the YouTube one.
Well, while you're doing that, I just want to thank all the participants. We what? 2 more questions?
We have 2 more questions that were emailed to us.
Oh, okay.
Caden, you have those?
Yeah, let me pull those up right here. Kim, is this the one about Latham not doing any deliveries?
Yeah, Latham doesn't do the deliveries, and then there's another one about the trailer hitch with the tires.
Yep. Okay, so we had a question from Patrick. Do you know if the Latham Service Center is doing deliveries of new cars? Is there any way to find out? We have a direct response from Tesla Latham. They said that Latham doesn't do deliveries, just gallery and service at the moment, but customers can take a demo drive there. And if you live closer to Oneida or the Turning Stone Casino, you may be able to take delivery there. And we have one last question here. Let me pull that up. So we had a question. This was a very long response, so I'm trying to parse through this one here. But it seems like this individual installed a 2-inch hitch for their bike rack on their Model 3 long range all-wheel drive with 18-inch wheels, but they found the ground clearance insufficient due to local road conditions. They were asking about switching to 20-inch wheels, if that would solve the clearance issues, and if the Tesla Service Center could adjust the software according for speed, range odometer readings, anything like that. So, to my knowledge, switching the wheel size, that won't actually raise the car at all. They would have to look into like a suspension raise, it seems, because if you switch to 20-inch wheels, the only difference is you have less tire. That total overall, diameter for the wheel still would be roughly the same. And also to note on that question, if you do get new wheel sizes or buy new wheels entirely, you can switch it in yourself in the service screen, the service tab of your car. You don't have to take it to the service center. You can switch your car's profile and it'll reboot, and then on your app and on the car it'll show those new wheels. So you don't need to go to the service center for that.
There are third-party air suspension kits for the Model 3, which I've seen, but can be very expensive.
And if you wanted to go something cheaper just to raise the car, I mean, we don't fully recommend this just because you'd be messing quite a bit with the dynamics of the car, but you could get a few inch or even an inch suspension raise kit for the car. And rather than getting air suspension, you just increase the car by a little bit. If you Google that online, you'll find better people who understand that a lot.
Or you make a different hitch type that actually curves upwards rather than being a straight.
Yeah, or you could get a new hitch too.
Okay.
That would probably be the best thing. If that's all the questions we have for now, John, do you want to end with our closing statement?
Well, sure. I'll let Kim wrap up everything, but in the meantime, we want to thank all the participants. We really value, since we're a 501c3 and our member supported, we value your membership. At the lowest or the highest level, we're not fussy. We're just grateful to have you here. And please, I implore everybody, attend all the events you possibly can. We really count on our members supporting us when we put on an event, whether it's a charity event like a blood drive or a toy drive or a food drive, or a group drive. We're planning our first international group drive where folks will start in the U.S. and end up in Canada, as long as there's nothing in the car that detains them. So we got to be careful. But no, we have a good time. We're also having a Halloween party up in the Niagara Frontier region. So lots of things are on tap. And to that extent, if you have a suggestion for a Zoom meeting or YouTube meeting or for an event or a destination, just let us know. This is your club. And thanks to the gents and to Kim. So I'll hand it off.
As John said, thank you so much for attending our live Zoom meet, our live Ask Us Anything. We tend to do this once a month now, as we are getting our King Saul worked out on this first time doing the YouTube live. I did post in the chat the link to our YouTube for the winterizing, so you can check that out. But I want to thank Carson and Caden for their tireless work trying to get this audio visual stuff to work, and John always helping out every time he can. But yes, this is definitely your club. It's not my club, it's our club. And I want you to know that you are always welcome to email any of us. We welcome any suggestions or any, if you even want to plan an event, contact your local regional organizer and work with your organizer to plan that event. This is, like I said, this is our club. It's not just mine, it's not just John's, it's ours. And that's all of us. So I want to thank everybody so much for being here tonight, and I hope to see you at an event soon.
Yes, thank you everyone for attending. And make sure if you have any questions about event inquiry or any ideas you want to send to the club, do so at info@tocnys.org. And that is info@tocnys.org.
And if you have some other burning questions that you forgot to ask tonight, we do have a Ask Us at TOCNYS.org as well.
Carson, any last words?
Yes, also don't forget, if you're buying your first Tesla here, don't forget to use our club referral link, tocnys.org/Tesla referral, which will redirect to one of our random club members' referral links, so they'll get credit as well as you, and you'll get $500 off your first Tesla, as well as 3 months of full self-driving as well. And hopefully I'll see you guys at the events. Otherwise, I'll see you guys at the Chargers.
Exactly, and if you haven't done so, update your profile on the TOCNYS.org website and include your referral code, so that can randomly be sent in our system. So thank you everyone for attending, and have a great night.